Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to today's class. Um, Let me share my screen. If you all can hear me, I hope it's better because it's really raining over here. So, okay, can you see my screen now? Has it come up?
Yeah, we can see your screen, your desktop to be specific.
Okay. Okay, can you see the transition,
Okay,
like
right.
changing of slides? Because we could do some things on Figma so that some people won't say they can't see what I'm saying. Okay, okay, awesome. So we can start now. All right, so let me just play this. Okay, awesome. All right, so you're welcome to today's class. All right, I just wanted to do like a small intro to, IKEA has been blowing hot for us. So you can just drop your, like, you can drop an emoji to describe how your week has been so far. I think I should go first. Mine has been fireful. You could just drop an emoji to describe how your week has been so far. Let's see, let's see, let's see. Okay. Oh my God. Okay, some people's, oh no. Okay. Odunaya is excited. Oh no. What's happening? Okay. 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 Great, great, great. Okay. Please, if you're crying, don't cry again. Don't cry again. You're really going to be fine, I promise. Okay. I wanted to include mention or type one thing you learned from last class. I just need this feedback. Like, let's just before we get into today's business, just type one thing you learned from last class. I think your mentor Favor took us on last class, so you can just type one thing. If it's auto layout, if it's style guide, why am I giving the answers? But just type one thing you learned from last class. Let's be sure that some people are actually following. Okay, style guide, variant. Okay, awesome, awesome. Okay, thank you all for your feedback. Okay, great, great, great. Okay, awesome. Thank you, thank you. All right, so let's get started. So I'll just give a little quote here by Maya Angelou. She says that you can't use up creativity, right? The more you use, the more you have. So you can't just say, I'm done learning this particular thing. So that is all, right? So the more you use, the more you try working on different products, the more you get creative. That's why, as designers, it's very important for you to know that learning never ends. So just like me now, teaching you all this about design, I'm learning in the process. So you cannot use up creativity. The more you use, the more you have. Okay, so what to expect in today's class? We'll be talking about typographic design patterns and best practices, and we'll talk about color psychology in depthly. I remember the first class we had, I think we just talked about design elements, the colors, spacing, and all that. But today we'll go into it in depthly, right? And then we'll do a little introduction to designing an effective landing page. It's very important for us to know how to design these very basic features, because if you're being asked to work on a product, for example, you definitely would, maybe you need to work on the sign up flow, forget password flow, landing page, the hero page, and all of that. So just talk about all those today. So just put on your seatbelt. It's going to be an amazing ride. Network would help us, and this rain will not mess us up. All right, awesome. Okay, so let's get started. All right, so the first thing we'll talk about is typography, right? So what is typography? Typography is basically the art or technique of arranging written text in a legible, clear, and visually appealing manner when displayed. Please, if I'm too fast, you can, like, I don't want to be too fast. I want to go in our pace so that, I can carry everyone along. So if I'm too fast, you can just let me know so that, everyone is being carried along. Okay. So like I said, typography it's like an art or a technique of arranging written text. So you're not just arranging it the way it's in your mind. It has to be legibly clear and visually appealing for your users so that when it's being displayed on probably a website or a mobile application, right, it's very easy for your users to see that, okay, this is what this typography is talking about, or this is what this typeface means, or this is what this font is trying to relate, right? So it involves font style, it involves appearance, and involves structure. It's very important to take note of these crucial points, typography and colors, because your whole essence as a designer, let me not say your whole essence, but basically almost everything you'll be doing as a designer, you will play around with text, you play around with fonts, you play around with colors. It has to differ from the other. You will not just be copying, you won't just use Arial every time, you won't just use Roboto every time, you won't just be using Baskerville every time, right? There are different situations where you necessarily have to evoke some kind of emotion, right? So you probably would want to use a different font, that's going to evoke a particular kind of emotion, right? So typography basically aims to elicit certain emotions and convey specific messages. If I want to design if I want to design a product, for example, okay, so if I want to design a product, for example, and maybe, okay, just like we all know Coca-Cola, right? The kind of fonts being used for Coca-Cola, we can just go through this mental journey together. It's not a basic straight font that's looking all too serious. Like the fonts kind of like evoke this emotion of, when you drink Coca-Cola, you would have a very nice experience, you know, you would have a very sensational, feeling taking the drink, right? So they've been able to evoke that kind of emotion so that when users, or let me use the word customers, right, just see the brand, they can know that, okay, this is the kind of emotion. Okay, so that's like the kind of emotion that will be evoked when clients or when customers drink that kind of drink. Okay, so we have, for example, like bullets. I know that some people here know these drinks I'm mentioning, but they will just act like they don't know. Okay, so we have bullets, we have fearless. And if you notice, most of those kind of drinks, they don't just use basic fonts. So this is to tell you that typography plays a great role in evoking emotions and conveying specific messages. So if you're designing a website, for example, for let's say a mobile app, let's say a bank app, like let's use for example First Bank, they are not using all these curvy fonts. It's not children joke. We're talking about money, right? So the kind of font you use when you're working on a product is very important. You cannot be told to work on a product that has to do with maybe finances, maybe the fintech sector, and then you're using fonts that, because you feel like being dramatic, no, you're using the kind of fonts that is supposed to evoke a particular kind of emotion based on the kind of users you're designing for. Just for feedback, you all can hear me, right? Okay, just you can type so I could know that something hasn't happened here. Okay, I'm seeing black bullets for the culture. Oh, okay. Okay, awesome. All right, so let's proceed. Okay, so we'll talk about some elements of typography. We have fonts and typefaces. We'll talk about the types of typefaces, and then we'll talk about leading, kerning, and tracking. This would basically take us to Figma, and then we look at all these together. Okay, so let's talk about fonts now. What is a font? A font is basically a set of characters of a single size, width, or style. It's a set of characters of a single size, width, or style. For example, if you use Times New Roman regular 12 points in a document, that's a font. So let me see, we can quickly just go to Figma. Let's see something quick. Um, okay, so let me type, or okay, let's just create a quick frame. And then I type black bullets for the culture. Okay, black bullets. Let's just do black bullets. Okay. So now this is a font. Inter, like just like we've all I guess we are all familiar with the Figma environment gradually, right? So a font is basically a set of characters of a single size, width, and style. So I could choose to use Times New Roman in this situation. I could choose to use Inter. I could choose to use Circular STD. I could choose to use Roboto. I could choose to use 1001 fonts. But basically, that's just the definition of what a font is. And it's important for you to know these things so that when you are speaking to your product managers and in the nearest future, you can be like, okay, so this is the font I use, and I feel like this kind of font could be used for this kind of product. Okay, so basically that's just what a font is, a set of characters of a single size, width, and style. And then we have font families. And it's very important I think we'll talk about that at the later part of this class, right? So it's very important to use font families, fonts that have a large family base. So let's take, for example, this Inter is a very good example. So you can see Inter here. We have so many, we have thin, we have extra light, we have regular, and all of this. So if I'm working on a product, for example, and I just want to use Inter, right? I could play around this particular font using maybe regular or light or medium or whatever size or whatever font width I want to use. Okay, so that's about font. All right, so let's talk about typefaces. So a typeface basically consists of sets of similar fonts of different weights, widths, and styles. So just like I said, in simple terms, a typeface is a family of related fonts. So just like we have this Inter here, we can just see that, okay, Inter has different families here. So I could just choose to use Inter. And also, I think there was a time I was working on a product. Was it this afternoon? And then I discovered that I was using, okay, the real font I was using for that product was Airbnb stereo font, right? And then at some point, I don't know, maybe because my system is used to Circular STD, is one of my favorite fonts, right? And then I just felt like there's a difference somehow. Like this is not the font I started with. So I could just see that these typefaces, they all look similar, right? And they're evoking the same emotion, which is they're just basic and fun and straight. It's not looking all curvy and all fanciful and all of that. Okay, so let's look at some types of typefaces. So we have serif, we have sans serif, we have script, and we have decorative. And I'll explain all of those just like you can see here on this image. So serifs are basically small shape or projection that appears at the beginning or the end of a stroke on a letter. So just like we can see here, this Times New Roman is a very basic example of a serif font. You can see that it has some tip out of the tail. It has some little tails around it. It's not just very straightforward and basic. And there are situations where you may want to use a serif font. It's not like if you want to design a website now, you must use sans serif all through. There are some situations where maybe you're designing a website for a wedding brand. Maybe your friend is getting married and they say, okay, let me look for one person's name. Leo Ekene is a very popular name here. Okay, so Leo, can you design a website for me? Okay, so Leo's friend is getting married and maybe you want to design something of that sort. You may not necessarily use a sans serif font all through. At some point, you may need to, combine fonts. There's what we call pairing, font pairing, knowing the kind of font to use alongside the particular font, right? So that's for serif. And then we have sans serif. A basic example is a Calibri. A basic example is the circular STD. A basic example is the area which we all know. The basic example is Roboto. I don't want to mention all of them, but if you're on Figma, you can see 1,001 of them. Impact, so many of them, right? So just like the French word sans means without, so sans serif, it is without the small tails around. Like it's just a basic typeface without so many fanciful things at the tips. So it could basically be used in maybe you're working on a let's say a business website or something very basic. Maybe you're writing a document, right? You're not going to be using this kind of fonts like what we see here, this Angelina and the Coral MT, like the decorative fonts which we have here, right? So that's basically for sans serif. Okay, then we also have the script font. Just like we can see here, the Angelina is an example of a script font. A script typeface basically comprises of fonts which appear like handwritten text. So I want to design something and I want it to look like, I think it was in this class we did, it was in this class we did some design that had to do with the vacation. Was it in this class? You can type so I could just know that it's here. Where we did something that has to do with a vacation website. Was it here? The Maldives. Okay, awesome. So we had people from that class. Okay. Oh, someone is saying no. Oh, oh, okay. So it wasn't in this class. Okay, so I think it was in another class I had somewhere else. Okay. So basically, that website, I played around with different kind of fonts. I didn't just want to use something. Okay, someone is saying it was in this class. Okay, anyway, it was awesome. At least people were in the class. Awesome. Okay, so if you can all remember, I didn't just use a very basic font to write the Maldives, which we had on the hero page that day. I used a font that kind of looked like maybe I wrote it with my hands or something that looked very scripted and all curly. It's not very, very basic. So situations such as those, it has to do with vacation, enjoyment, you know, okay, and all that. Okay, went for vacation, we came back, great. So situations such as those, you may choose to use such a font. So it's just your ability as a designer to know what font will be best to use in a particular product you're designing. That's what really makes you stand out. Okay, so another typeface we have is a decorative typeface, right? Just the example here we can see is a call empty. So decorative typefaces are most diverse. They are being used for maybe signages. We can see them in all these cartoon networks, right? Maybe you're designing a website that has to do with children. You know that children will be the ones to come on that website severally. So you may want to use something really playful that will look very attractive so that even when they go back home, they'll be like, Mommy, let's go back. Like, can I log into that website and do XYZ? Can I log into that website and download the book or blah, 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 So you're not using something too serious because, there are situations where you need to, like we said before, evoke a certain kind of emotion. Okay, let me see who are, okay. All right. So I think I should not look at this chat so I don't get distracted. Okay, awesome. Okay, so that's about types of typefaces we have. All right, so let's look at these two fonts here. So does the font change your emotion? We have anything for you and anything for you. You can just type here. Does it change your emotion? What do you think about anything for you and the other anything for you? Just type. Let me be sure that some people are understanding the evoking of emotions. Anything for you versus anything for you. Okay, the first one looks dangerous. The bold one looks like a horror story. Okay, scary versus love. I love the second one better. Oh, yet you say the first one is so romantic. Are you serious? Okay, I don't want to laugh. Like, how can the first one be so romantic? We have anything for you that looks like a horror movie. And then the second one looks like I'm writing a love message to my man, for example, right? So if I tell him anything for you means maybe I'm coming to to do wonders. But if I use the second one, the one that looks like it's handwritten, anything for you, it looks really, lovely and beautiful. So, whoever I'm writing this message to will be like, okay, anything for me, beautiful. But anything for you looks like it's fights. And just like we said, fonts have a way of evoking a certain kind of emotion, as well as colors, which we'll talk about, later on in this class. All right, so that's about font usage. So let's talk about leading, kerning, and tracking. So leading is basically the space between lines of text. Kerning is a space between two individual characters. So we'll look at it on Figma, and then tracking refers to the overall letter spacing of an, of an entire word or passage of text. Okay, please, I don't want to laugh. Let me just focus on this leading, kerning, and tracking. All right. So, Jesus Christ, KodeCamp learners, you guys are awesome. Who said something about God doing? Okay, let me not be distracted because I know we don't have all day. Okay, so leading is the space between lines of. Okay, so I don't want to laugh. All right, so let's just do something quick. Okay, let me just show an image of what it looks like. So now you can see this image here. Kerning is sorry, you guys are distracting me. Okay, leading is a space between lines of text. So we can see that here in this image. Space between lines of text. So the space between space and between, what we have in the middle is leading. So you could be working on maybe a text, like you have a great chunk of text and you want to put space in between them. That's what we call leading, and this is how it's being done. So let's just type black bullets for the culture. Black bullets for the culture. Okay, and then I want to put spacing in between it. We have this here, line height. So if I increase it or decrease it, this is what we call leading, right? So you can manually choose to type, maybe 30 would be very unrealistic. You know, there are different ways you can choose to do the auto. Okay, so let's try it maybe. Sorry, I don't know if someone's mic is unmuted, but it's kind of like distracting a bit. Okay, so if we use 50, you can see that it's bigger. So I'm just showing you how the leading works. Okay, and then kerning is the spacing in between. So between S and P. Sorry, what just happened? What just happened? What just happened? What just happened? Oh. Sorry. Am I going back or forward? Oh, forgive me. I don't know what just happened. Would this be my Zoom? Sorry, hold on a bit. I don't know what's happening here. Okay, sorry. Let's just go back to where we were. Okay, sorry. Okay, so this is where we are. Okay, so kerning is basically the space in between two letters. And then tracking is the space in between, like if I want to, let's just do this quickly. Let me just copy out this black bullet, for example. Okay, and then I want to put the spacing in between the letters. I could just maybe increase it manually. Depends on what you want to do. So this is tracking, putting space in between the letters. So these are just basic typography information or knowledge one needs to have as a designer. All right, so let's move over to the next thing. So there are just a few tips here I have for us when you want to make use of fonts. So the first one is, it's very important for you to limit the number of fonts. I remember when I started out as a designer, I didn't really know much about fonts, right? And then I felt like, since I'm seeing over 100 fonts, what's the use just keeping the fonts there? What if I just use 10? Or what if I just use 3? Or what if I just use 4, 5, or 6? Right? So best practices, it's advisable to limit the number of fonts you use. Like, you don't necessarily need to use over 10 fonts or over 6 fonts just in one small project. You could just use 2, right? You could just use one that has a very great font family, just like the second point here. So if you're using fonts that come from the same family, it helps your work to look more organized and very well structured. And also, it's good for you to also consider context, just like we had said about fonts and look emotions. If you're designing a product that has to do with a particular kind of thing, there's a kind of emotion you want to evoke. So you're looking at the context in which you're trying to work on this, right? And also, it's good for you to establish visual hierarchy. What's the first thing you want your users to see? If you want them to see the logo, and maybe the logo is a word logo, a text logo, right? And then maybe you want the logo to be very big. You want people to see maybe KodeCamp as a very major content there. So you just make it bigger, right? So these are just like font usage tips. There are 1,001 of them, but I just felt like this is important for us to know because we'll be going into in-depth design gradually. Okay. All right. So let's just talk about reading patterns. It still has to do with typography too. So we have the F pattern and the Z pattern. Um, the F pattern basically applies to traditional text-heavy pages like articles or blog posts, right? So as a product designer or as a UI UX designer, you may work on maybe asked to design a website a for a blog or a blog that there'll be lots of text. So you won't just put the text to be center aligned. You're designing for users, and users are going to read this text. And we all know that traditionally people read from left to right? So you can choose to use the F pattern, just like we can see this image here. We can see that everything looks left aligned from here to here. So it's like it looks F, like in the F pattern way. So that's the first one. And then we also have the Z pattern. The Z pattern applies to sort of pages like websites, very basic. So the first thing you would see is the logo. Conventionally, we always know that the logo is always at the top left before we have the top menu, but which could be center or right, and there may be a call to action button. So if you notice, this is how your users will be reading through. Readers can. I think I shared this book here with us. Don't Make Me Think. So you know that your readers are going to be scanning. They are not sitting down to take all day or all night to go through everything. They are just scanning. So they are seeing from the logo to maybe home about us, create an account, blah blah blah, and then they're seeing maybe the hero page, the image that is there, and then image information about the website or something, and then a sign up now or something of the sort. So you can choose to use the F pattern or the Z pattern, dependent on what you want to do at a particular point in time. All right, so let's talk about rags, widows, and orphans. It's very important for you to know rags, widows, and orphans. Knowing about it 2 years ago really helped my life when designing, especially when it has to do with typography. So, firstly, we have widows. Widows occur when the last line of a paragraph is not able to fit at the bottom of a page or a column. So let's just go over to Figma and just do something quick. So you can just have a mental picture. I think I should just delete this one. Okay. So let's say I have this black for the culture. Let me just replicate this. Black for the culture, black for the culture, and black for the culture again. So if, for example, I'm working on a website and then I have a chunk of text. So you can see now that this is a very bad typography. And this is, well, based on design best practices, it's not proper, it's not right. So one needs to find a way to make sure that everything fits in. This is just standing alone and it's more like a window. It's just there and it's like if I'm reading this thing, and your users will be reading. So if someone is reading black bullet for the culture, blah 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 blah, and the culture is standing alone, it looks like it's not part of the word, right? So it's very important for you to make sure that everything is in tandem, everything is all in a block of text. So everything looks like they are all together. It does not look like culture is standing alone, because if I'm reading it mentally, I could just be like, why is this culture standing alone? Except if maybe one is trying to create a particular maybe you want to create a particular emphasis, but the emphasis probably could be in the change of color or maybe an underlining, or something of the sort. So that's for widows. And then we have orphans. Orphans is the exact opposite of a widow. So it's when the first line of a paragraph sits at the bottom of a page by itself. So if we have this black, and it's very important for you to know it, because when you make your submission, we'll be looking out for rags, widows, and orphans. Please don't give us widows, orphans, or rags in your submissions. And well, for your own personal growth, it's not just for KodeCamp, but for your personal growth as a designer. So you can see that the black is just standing alone here, and it looks like it's not part of this text, it's not part of this message. Even though we know that when it comes to typography, there could be a situation where you want to maybe create emphasis on a particular thing. So it could be bigger in text, or there are different ways to play around it. But basically, if you're writing a chunk of message, maybe you want to say, why would you choose us, or why would you want to create an account with us? And then you're writing all the details about maybe we are the best, we offer the best services in town. I'm trying to just think of something. Okay, we offer the best services in town, and then we're always available 247, and all of that, all of those details. You don't just allow them to stand alone. It will just look like an empty tree. Like, it will look very imbalanced. And this here looks like a rag. So this takes us to rags. So rags basically refer to irregular or uneven vertical margin of a block of type. So you can see that this looks very irregular, like it's not looking structured. So it's very important for you to avoid rags, widows, and orphans in your typography. Very, very important, so that your design looks well structured at the end of the day. Sorry, I hope I'm not too fast. I just want to be sure. Okay, I guess I'm not. All right, so I will just proceed. All right. So let's talk about colors now. Sorry, just for feedback, you all can hear me, right? I don't know. Can you all hear me? Rags again. Okay. Rags again. Okay. Rags refer to irregular or uneven vertical margin of a block of type. Okay. When you have, let me add more. Let me add more details. So let's look at this, for example. This is a rag. It's very, this is not really a rag. This rag is a bit thin. So let me break it a bit. There are times when you're designing and you have some chunk of text, and everything, your client tells you that all of these details must be put in. You can't just delete some of the details, right? So this is basically like a rag because it's not even. Like we have like one word here, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words. So it's not balanced. And to worsen everything, maybe we now have this black standing alone. So we have an orphan, we have a widow, and then we have rags. So this is not a good typography. I don't know if that explains it to you. Who asked the question? Lucky. Okay. Rags again. Okay. So basically, this is like a rag. So it's uneven, and it doesn't look typographically okay. So when you're working on your designs, it's very important for you to avoid rags. If it means you to break it, to put the text, like let everything balance in well, like let everything look proper, not looking like there is a fight. So this is just like a rough work. Okay, let's say bullet for black. This is not a proper text though, but as you can see, we don't have an orphan here, neither do we have a widow. Even though this is a little bit of a rag, but it's not too raggy. Okay, so I hope that explains it to you while we proceed. Okay, thank you too. Okay, please, I'm Chi, not Ma. Sorry, like I prefer being called Chi than the Ma. All right, thank you. All right, so let's go into colors. Colors originate from view directly or as a reflected light. This is self-explanatory. So color originates from a light source. So a light is being reflected on something, and then we all went to, well, I guess everyone went to primary school, and then we all know about the color wheels and all of that fancy stuff. I don't want to bore us with that, but basically colors originate from a light source that is either viewed directly or as a reflected light. So anyone in design, any designer needs to understand the basics of color theory, because no matter what you're using, no matter what, you're going to use color in your designs, even if it's just black and white, just like we have Apple. I think the website is basically just black and white, but you still see some shades of gray, 90% of black, 90% of um, white. They play around with, it's still black and white, but they're still different shades. So even if you say you don't want to, you cannot just do without colors. And colors is like the very should I say bane of your existence as a designer, because you would work with colors. Clients will tell you, I want to use green. And you know that this green is not going to work. In such situations, you may need to educate your clients on, probably this kind of color is not going to be it's not going to be best for this product, right? I think that will later we'll talk about how to deal with clients, because you meet some very amazing clients, not just amazing, amazing. Okay, so understanding how color works is very important. It's not just about it's not just when artists put in their hands into paint buckets and just do some very beautiful things, right? As a designer, you need to understand how color works. I don't know whose mic is unmuted, but it's kind of like disturbing a bit. If you can just mute your mic, it would be good. Okay, awesome. All right. So I have it here that color is in the beholder's eyes, with these big eyes rolling here. So Sir Isaac Newton, we all know him, established the color theory in 1666. And he understood that colors has to do with human perceptions, not just absolute qualities or wavelengths of light. And we all know the basic kind of colors. We have the primary colors, the red, blue, and green, secondary colors, and the tertiary colors. So it's very important for us to all note that your colors must reflect your design's goals and brand's personality. When you're applying a color theory, you're trying to optimize a positive psychological impact on your users. If you use a particular shade of yellow or orange, it brings this excitement. If you're using a dark shade of brown, there are different situations where you need to use a particular thing, right? But at the end of the day, you need to be sure of the color temperature. If you're going to use something that's going to be warm, something that is neutral, or a cool color, we're going to work on projects, and you may be asked to do design at your own use, just play around with your creativity to use whatever color is in your mind. So it's very important for you to understand how colors work, so you're not using colors in errors. And also we need to know that colors reflect your message. So when you combine typography, a good typography, a very great kind of font or typeface, and then a very great color and beautiful imagery and all that design element we talked about, it gives you a beautiful design at the end of the day. All right. So the first thing here, you need to use colors to, you use the color theory to match what your users want to see. The right contrast is vital to catching your users' attention in the first place. So if you're designing, we know we have complementary colors, like what colors should be on a particular color. Like you should not use white text on yellow background. Like who is going to see that? No one is going to see that, right? If people are using maybe a black text, it's on a white background or maybe a lighter shade of yellow, right? So using the right contrast helps in catching your users' attention. So the vibrancy you choose for your design is also important. It helps to provoke a certain kind of emotional response from your users. That's why when people do lots of user testing and they probably decided to use different colors to test out, right? They probably would get feedback from this user. This user would say this particular thing, another user would say something else, right? So it evokes a certain kind of emotional response from your users. So how they react to your color choices depends on factors such as their gender. Just like ladies, if a man wants to, I don't want to talk about man and woman again, so someone will not will not say plenty things. Okay, so if Leo Kenny wants to buy a gift for his sister, right? And then, well, we all know that ladies like, well, not all ladies shall, but conventionally, as a child, or something really colorful now, like something really colorful and bright, based on gender. And then also, if it has to do with a man, men would prefer maybe blue or black or something more masculine, right? So one needs to understand gender, people's experience, people's age and culture. What you would buy for a young girl is not what you're going to buy for your mother, right? Because your mother would prefer a different kind of color. A young girl would prefer something very flashy and something really attractive and all that. We'll talk about culture later on as well. So in all of these cases, you should understand that you need to design for accessibility. This is where the real game now begins, because you're designing for users that are colorblind. You're designing for users that are that kind of eye defect in an accessible way that even a young child can open this application and the color doesn't look all blurring and disturbing to the eyes. How can you design a product that even if an elderly person, or a young person opens it, it doesn't look like everything is just accessible and easy to go through. So, example, we have the red green color blinds. I think is one of like the very popular kind of color blindness, right? So, if you're designing a product, for example, you may need to do some color testing, and there are lots of tools online where you can do the accessibility testing, where to check out the colors, red green, because like people have this defect in the eyes. So as a designer, you just need to know that these are all the things you need to check out for. What culture am I designing for? What age of people am I designing for? What gender am I designing for? Okay, as the case may be. All right. So I also say here that through UX research, you will be able to fine-tune color choices to resonate best with your specific users. So you cannot just say, I'm a UI UX designer and I don't need UX research. You may need it somehow, right? Because you may work in a team and they may not have a UX researcher, but they need feedback. So I think we talked about UX research in this class. Yeah, it's this class. So somehow you just need to get all those feedback. So it would help you to know what expectations your users have, okay, based on the product that you're working on. So it's also important for you to know this because I don't know who is unmuting his or her mic. Please just mute your mic, please, so I don't get distracted. Thank you. Okay, what was I saying? All right. So basically, like I was saying, so for you to meet your market's expectations, if you're launching a new product, you will not just want to use any color that comes into your mind. You will need to understand color psychology. What kind of users are we designing for? You're not just using any color that just maybe you go to Colors of Co and then yellow looks beautiful. You decide to use yellow. No, it's not being done that way. Lots of user research needs to be put into place so that you're sure that, okay, I'm actually solving a problem, I'm actually solving needs of a particular set of users. Okay, so I also say here that, for example, we have blue color. Blue color, well, industry, like I think industry standards for banking in the West use blue color. Like blue color, once you just see blue, it means that, okay, this could be for banking, finance, a corporate world. It would also evoke a different kind of emotion in some other cultures. I think one of my slides has that screen that has to do with colors and cultures. So just for example, now we have in China, red color stands for good fortune. And then in South Africa, it is mourning. And then in the USA, it's danger or fine girl, fine girl. If you want to go for a dinner date, you want to use that beautiful red gown. So if you're in South Africa and you decide to use a beautiful red gown, they may think you're mourning. Whereas you're just going for a dinner date. So it's important to understand colors and cultures as well, and understand the kind of users you're designing for, so that you're not using the right color for the wrong set of people. So I think this same applies to some of these global products. I feel like if you're in a particular country, the UI changes because they try as much as possible to be accessible to everyone, so that if a particular product is being used in a particular country or in a particular zone in this world, right, it's still in tandem with what their belief is, or their belief system is at the end of the day. Okay, so overall, it's very important for you to use usability testing to confirm your color choices. You can just choose to, even if you're not really a UX researcher, but asking questions. And like I used to say in UX research class, asking the right questions will give you the right answers. Okay, so let's just look at these colors and cultures. So we have red here, Western. So you can just know all of this. No knowledge is wasted, right? Because I believe we are all going to be global designers. So you may be designing for India, right? So you know what questions to the product team or the product owners, what are we doing? What are we looking out for? And all of that. I won't just mention all of this, but it's going to be in the slides. It's actually in the slides. So when you're going through them, you can just read through and understand. So just like we can see this Far Eastern here, Black stands for health, prosperity, and stability. Whereas in some other countries or in some other cultures, it stands for evil, darkness, mystery and all that. So understanding color psychology, what to use when, where to use what, is very important as a designer. All right. So color psychology is basically the study of how certain colors impact human behavior. Simple and straight to the point. So to understand color psychology in UX design, you must consider if these colors provoke emotions in people due to which their decision-making process of visiting a web page or choosing a product, it really affects, right? So if you're designing a website and maybe your primary color is a very dark shade of blue, you may want to use a contrasting color so that maybe on your CTA button, maybe on those very highlighting points you want users to take note of, right? So understanding color psychology helps you to know that, okay, I should use this. You won't just use one color all through. It will look very basic and it's not going to evoke the emotion. What if you want to increase higher click-through rates, or maybe you want to increase maybe sign-ups on the platform? So you can know that, okay, I can use this particular color. It would make people to sign up more. I can use this particular color. It would increase our click-through rates. I can use this or I cannot use that. All right. So let's look at some of the colors, right? The first one is red color, like we all know. It increases a viewer's heart rate. Just like I think Netflix uses red and black. And so whenever I want to see a movie and then I just see the red and black, it just gives me that cinematic feeling. I'm like, okay, it's time for Netflix and popcorn and all that plenty stuff. So but basically here, red color increases the viewer's heart rate and blood pressure. Not forgetting we talked about colors and culture. So relating all of this, you can know which to use in what particular situations. And like I said, no knowledge is the way. So have all this information. When you have so much information, it gives you power. So when you're talking, you know that, okay, I know that red stands for this, but in this culture, red stands for this. So what if we use a particular kind of color, right? So this primary color is associated with passion and energy. So companies sometimes use red color to express a sense of urgency. These are all little notes you can just take note of. So we have red color, and then we have orange. Orange is associated with playfulness. It comes with other warm colors like color yellow. It also could express enthusiasm and can evoke a particular strong positive emotion. So if you're designing a product for a food brand, for example, there are some kind of colors you want to use. You will not just be using blue, and we're not saying blue and green are bad colors, no, but understanding where these colors apply to which, it helps you when trying to make a design decision as a designer. All right. So that's orange, and then blue. Different things or shades of the color blue have different color associations. People could see blue color as peace, and that has to do with maybe what's the something just came into my mind and just left again. Not makeup brand, not makeup, not makeup. When I remember, I'll come back to it. But basically, light blue has to do with maybe peach. Okay, just like we can see the blue sea when you go to the beach, right? You can see the very not. Well, Nigerian beaches are good, but some of these foreign beaches we see on the movies, you can you feel this serenity and this peace and calmness it exudes, right? So it can be associated with peace, gentleness, or as the case may be. Whereas dark blue represents power, strength, dependability, etc., etc. And then we have green. It is like has a calming presence along with other cool colors like purple and all. But if you just see a green product, you definitely see green products in products that has to do with maybe all these herbal or maybe farm. Maybe you want to design a product that has to do with farmers, connecting farmers to maybe people who would want to sell their product. You won't just start using any color in your mind. You know that, okay, these are the kind of colors I should use for this kind of product. All right. So we'll go over to landing page now. I don't know if there's any question for me or if anyone can hear me all through before we move over to the next on our list for this evening. All right. No feedback means proceed. But you all can hear me, right? Because it's now so quiet. Or am I speaking plenty grammar? Okay. Okay, awesome. Thanks. Okay, are there websites to get the types of colors to be used? Sorry, can you rephrase your question? When you say types of website to get types of colors to be used, can you rephrase your question? Maybe I could have proper understanding on it. Okay, so while we wait for Emmanuel, are you suggesting we can use orange and yellow? Sorry, just rephrase your question. Orange and yellow in what context? Okay, yeah, you can unmute your mic and speak, Emmanuel.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
I meant by websites because I think I've actually come across a website at one point in time where the type of like the designer can actually put in the type of product he or she wants to design. Let's say for farming or for agriculture.
Okay.
So the website actually brings out different shades of colors for green.
Oh, okay.
Then whereby after that the designer can then use the color palette to choose like the accent, the and other secondary colors attached to it also.
Okay. That's really a great one. Although I don't really know of any website that you can type in the kind of products you want to design and then they give you. I just know colors.co, COOLORS, like the colors.co just generates different color palettes for you. Let me see. We can just go to colors.co. Where are you? Colors. So I feel this is actually different from the one you're talking about. But if you know the name of that website, I'm also interested. Like you can share with me the name of the website that's where you can get when you can just type in what kind of products you want to design and then and then it gives you a color palette. That's awesome. Although colors.co does something similar, you can just type in, it just helps you to generate different kind of colors. I don't know if it's my network that's delaying, but I'm looking forward to getting a response from you, Manuel. Thank you. Okay, someone is saying orange and yellow for a food app. Is it possible? Depends on the depends on the shade of that orange or the yellow, right? Just like Jumia. Jumia is yellow and orange. I think those are like the very basic colors I see when I go on that website. So it's possible. It just depends on the shade. So we have shade, tints, and what do we call them? Shades, tints, and tones of colors, right? So you're not just going to use any shade of orange or any shade of um orange or any shade of yellow. There'll be a particular shade you would use. That's where products or websites such as Colors.co could help you. So you can try out different shades and see which one works best. And at the end of the day, like we said before, user research, you go back to the drawing board and ask questions. Getting feedback from the users will help you know that, okay, this particular color I'm trying to use works best for this product. So I don't know if that's answered your question. Okay.
Can I ask? Good evening.
Someone saying something?
Okay.
Okay.
I want to.
Yes, you.
I want
may.
to ask of this color. I think there should be a basis for using color. Maybe we don't just use color for using purpose. There should be a basis to consider the colors. I mean, 2 or 3 colors that are likely to fit each other. Secondly, I've heard of something like color wheels. Color wheels. How do we use it? How applicable is it? Because I think it's good to determine the colors that should go with each other before blending them together so that we won't go wrong.
Okay. What you just said now is your assignment, like is everyone's assignment. Reading up on color wheels, I was coming to that already, because when you read up on color wheels and you understand complementary colors, analogous colors, I cannot basically spoon feed all of you. And I feel like when you go to Google and make your research, it helps you grow as a designer. And that was my plan already. So just read up on color wheels and complementary colors, analogous colors. It would help you to know what color to use in a particular, like which of these colors would complement each other. I could just say it one more time. Complementary colors, color wheels, analogous colors, and how to apply all of those. It's this assignment, you may not necessarily submit it, but for your own personal growth. I don't know if Ikis is here, but for your own personal growth, like just read up on those. Like that assignment is on my slides already, but since the question has been asked, yeah, okay. Someone is saying, what color can be used for a car ordering website? Okay, for a car ordering website, depends on the type of car. It depends on the type of car. If it's moto, okay, let me just assume that it's not just any type of car. Like, let's say very classy, like all the Benz and Ferrari and you guys are cracking me up. All the Benz and Ferrari. So something of that sort, you're looking at exuding class, right? So the kind of users you would have that are coming to that kind of website, they are not poor people. So you don't want your website to look like people are begging them to come and buy cars. So you may need to, there's a shade of gray that is very fine, like not dirty gray, but the gray is in my mind. I don't know the color code, but the gray is in my mind, right? Just like we have this metallic color kind of cars, those kind of shades, using it in strategic points in the website, white and black would always go, just like we have Apple. Apple is one of like very most expensive products, right? But they're just using black and white. So maybe a particular shade of gray, and then playing around with black and white. You cannot start using green color. Even though you may have those kind of stubborn clients that will tell you, we like orange in our family. Oh. Some have said that orange is their family color. And I'm like, okay, this is not your family product. This is your own product. And you're not building this product for yourself. So there are different ways to go about it. Even if you use this shade of maybe gray and black and white, you may still need to do user testing. Maybe you have a very rich uncle, right? And maybe you decided to work on this website. You just have a very, very rich uncle. And you're like, uncle, check out this website that I'm working on, or you just share with him. That's like a form of usability testing, right? And then his first expression, probably it's face-to-face. It's possible maybe you sent it via WhatsApp, and then his first expression could be like, wow, I feel like buying a car. I've seen some websites that it's not yet developed, but I'm looking forward to when it's being developed, because I would want to patronize, I would want to explore the website and all that, because it looks very exciting to be on, right? So I think I've said so many things in just one sentence, but that's like my answer. So when you do your user testing, you get feedback from it. And the users you're doing this user testing with is not broke people, sorry to say, because you know that you're trying to design this website for people who are very rich. So you're looking at those kind of people, and then you get all the feedback from them. Because if you're doing, okay, this I'm already going into UX research, which is not the focus for this class, but I feel I've been able to answer your question. I think we should look at user testing at some point, because we all need this information, maybe later on. Okay, but I don't think that's answered your question. The person who asked about the car stuff, but all right. So so we're just looking at the colors.co. So this is like a great website. And you can see so many color palettes that you can play around with. Right? So that is about it. So here I could just decide to generate more colors, play around colors, see which complements which. But before you try to use colors.co, you should just read up on color wheels, complementary colors, analogous colors. Having that knowledge would help you when you're trying to work on products. Okay. So let's go back to our slides. Where are you? Okay. All right, so we said we're going to do a quick introduction to designing landing pages. This sign up page is an error. Okay, so just look at what a landing page is, the principles of designing an effective landing page and best practices. So I just have a little pro tip here for us. Your landing page, please just follow me. Every landing page must accomplish two main goals, as it is very important when you're trying to have more visitors on your website. And as a designer, just know it, you're going to design so many landing pages, whether it's for mobile or for web or whichever. So having this basic knowledge or understanding is very important. Knowing that when you're designing a landing page, it's like when someone knocks at your gate, and then well, landing page in the human sense could be different things, because it could be your smile, right? So maybe if you're not smiling and someone knocks on your door and you're not smiling, that is a landing page that already tells the person, please don't even try. Don't try to ask me if I have food, or don't try to bring up extra conversation. So landing page is like the very first thing your users will see when whether it's through an affiliate link, or whether it's true they heard about it and they Googled it or something of the sort. But you should know that your landing page provides critical importance to visitors to make a decision. So how you will know if this website is going to, if your users will decide to navigate through, maybe to know what is happening on the website, or, to know if they should just leave immediately. There are websites where I just open the website. I don't even want to know what is happening. I just leave, right? So that's because they've not been able to, the landing page or the designer that designed the landing page has not been able to convey proper information to users, telling the value of the product, if there is something you want them to do, if you need them to sign up or sign in or create an account or do something of the sort, right? So all of those information, the very important information, just has to be there. So it also helps to provide clear paths for your visitors to act on. So you can't just have a landing page without what next to do. Even websites that maybe they want to tell you coming soon. We have all those, we are coming soon. They will still say something. Maybe put in your email address, we'll reach out to you, So I can't just come into your house and I'm just looking at you. So just imagine someone is coming to your house and firstly, you're not smiling. And then the next thing, you're just keeping quiet, but the person is looking at all the artifacts in your house and looking at everything, but he doesn't even know what is happening here, right? So there needs to be a provision of a clear path for your visitors to act on. And it's very important because within that 0.005 seconds or milliseconds or something, your visitors will make a decision either to proceed on the website or to just leave at once. All right. So what a landing page is, it's basically a lead page that's been designed to capture a user's attention and effectively convert users into customers. So whether as a designer, you're designing for users and for the product, for the product too. We don't want to design website that people will just come on the website and we're not converting them to customers. Like I should not just have people just visit the website and they leave. They are not buying, they are not creating accounts, they are not doing this, they are not doing that. Because at the end of the day, if the website is not providing solutions in one way or the other, it's failing as a design. Like the product is already failing. And that's because there's a design failure somewhere, right? So know that our responsibilities are really huge, because if I come on the website or if users come on the website and the attention is not being captured, maybe you're not using a very nice imagery, right? And then maybe everything just looks very basic. You're losing it. Like you're going to be losing customers, and you definitely want to convert your users into customers. Those are one of the very basic metrics people look out for. Even when you're doing email design, right? You want to ensure that, okay, more people are reading our email newsletters, more people are maybe signing up to our newsletter, more people are doing this, if what we need, like if what we now, I'm using we now as product owners, right? If what we are trying to give out to our users, they are not getting it, then why is the product in existence? So you need to capture your users' attention, and you need to also be able to convert your users into customers. And apart from just knowing Figma and auto layout, variants and components, you need to understand UX strategy. What kind of image should we use? What kind of microcopy should we use? I feel like we should maybe have a little class on UX writing, because it will really be awesome, right? You won't just say, we have come here, or welcome to our website, XYZ. No, your microcopy needs to be compelling. It needs to be, I don't know the right word in my head. It needs to be compelling and attractive enough that users they will read through and they'll create an account and everyone goes home happy, right? So UX strategy is very important. What kind of information are we putting there? This is where information architecture comes in, which we talked about some weeks ago. You are seeing as the whole thing is coming, right? Wonderful, excellent. All right, so UX strategy is very important, and also business acumen. You need to have that skill too, because you're not just designing for users alone. Your product will not suffer. Like you cannot just design it for even charity organizations. Somehow, at some point, they are just going to, except if it's a charity product you're building, where. But even if it's a charity product, your users need to feel fulfilled using the product. If not, even you as the product owners or a designer, you may not feel fulfilled, right? So, but we're all looking at, maybe you're working for a fintech product or a product that's going to generate income. You need to have the business ideas too. What kind of image should we put here? Should we put, if we are talking about, if this landing page now is going to tell people um safest way to save money, or this is the best platform to save money in Africa, we will not just use a picture of someone that is not happy. Because if there isn't a picture of someone that is not happy, how do you now want people to save the money? Like, if I come on that landing page, you are telling me safest way to save money and invest. And then the image there is not a happy person. I'm like, what's happening here? Right? But there are different ways you can communicate. That's where imagery comes in as well. Right? So you can probably choose to use maybe an image of, maybe if your emphasis is on saving and safety, right? Being that it's a fintech product, you're trying to design for trust, earning the currency of trust, which is very expensive. There's some kind of imagery and some kind of micro copy you would definitely use, so that people will feel, and some kind of colors too you would use, so that people would feel, they will feel, they won't feel scared signing up on the platform, right? So maybe there are some products that they would use, maybe a padlock, right? Maybe a padlock, or someone who is locking money, or someone who is very smiling happily because he's made lots of investments. Maybe he has saved money and the money is working well for him, right? So knowing the right micro copy to use, the right imagery to use, even on the CTA button, or whatever tax you want them to do, using the right set of words is very important. It will help you to capture your users' attention, and you can effectively convert your users into customers. All right, awesome. So landing pages are not just about visuals alone, like just imagery alone. It's a mix of design, it's a mix of marketing, and it's a mix of growth strategies. So as a designer, you're not just going to just be using images. Because if you're discussing with your product owners, they will be asking you questions like, how do you think, what kind of design ideas, what ideas do you have that we can put into our landing page that can help us to have maybe higher click-through rates, or that can help us to have, higher growth, or maybe we want people to sign up to our newsletter, or maybe we want people to sign up to create new accounts, or maybe we want to retain our existing users. Because there are some products that everybody just sign up, but once they sign up, there's no retention strategy, right? So it's very important for you to not only have users and have customers, but retaining users, like users that would always come back to your product again and again. So landing pages are not just it's not just to attract and not distract. We have less is more. So not too many buttons. You're not saying so many things at the same time. Create an account, sign up now, put in your email, let's reach out to you. No, it's just very basic information, what you want them to do at a particular time. Information architecture, it also comes in here. And also remember that less is more. You're not putting too many buttons, too many links, plenty jargons. No, your users don't want to be bored. You should not make them think, right? Is it the Hicks law? Is it Hicks law? There's one of these law that you don't give users so many options at the same time. I think that's under UX design. You don't give users so many options at the same time. They become confused. And it's just like when I want to when I want to buy something and I'm seeing so many colors of different things that I like, it will take me more time. At some point, I may not even buy again. I'll just go home and say, oh, everything is too fine. Let me just go back and think about it. Probably I don't really need it. So less is more. You're not giving your users so many things to do at the same time. You're just giving them few information, very basic information, which they would need. Few click, maybe call to action buttons or links, or whatever you want to convey. at that point in time. And also a compelling copy, a compelling copy. You're not just writing what is in your mind. You have to write things that will compel your users to probably want to check out some other features in the website, what the website does or what the website doesn't do, right? So the copy has to communicate the benefits of this product, what you stand to gain. Because as a user, if I come on the website and they are in few seconds, they are not telling me what I stand to gain when I use this website, it's a problem. Because, just like piggyverse, we have, is it fastest way to save money? Story-wise, is it save? I don't know, all those, but we know all these things, right? So your ability to use a very compelling copy, if it has to do with dry cleaning, right? You're telling them that, okay, we can save you time. If you want to tell them, we save your time, we give you the best laundry in town, we deliver 247. If it's food, you're telling them that this is where you get the best meals in town, right? Within 17 minutes, we bring it to you. So your copy has to be compelling enough to communicate the benefits and value of this product in order for your users to probably want to check out other features on the website. And this is very important because if you're not able to grab your users' attention at that point in time, how would you now retain them from users to customers? Talk less of returning users. We usually have returning users, right? And new users. So returning users, there's something they must have seen, or maybe that image of, maybe you design a website for a donating platform, and then the child you probably use on the landing page looks like that child, maybe the child looks like he or she would need help again. So even if you donated before, you may remember that image, you will come back and donate again. So now you're a returning user. You get the gist, right? Awesome. So some basic skills one needs to have: UX strategy, like I had said before, business acumen, interaction design, interacting. Like, it's not just going to look very basic. When you're writing micro copies, your product should be like a sweet 16. Like, it's not a vexing old woman that is grumpy. Like, your website should not be grumpy and not happy. Like, even the micro copy, we love you or whatever, we give you the best meal in town, so it's interactive enough, it's conversational. There's what we call, is it conversational design or conversational copy or something like that? I don't know. You could just take it and check it out later. And then UX writing. UX writing comes into play as well, because you may work in teams, you may not have a UX writer on standby. And then the product owners will tell you, this is what we want. They may not give you a brief. You have to deliver, right? And we want to bring out the best out of KodeCamp. So we all need to know these things. Awesome. All right, just for feedback, you all can hear me, right? Before I proceed to the next one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, awesome. So, okay, so we'll just look at a few principles of when designing an effective landing page. So we have visual hierarchy. What are the basic things you want users to see first? If it's an image of a child, a happy child, if it's an image of this, if it's a very bold micro copy, whatever it is, we've talked about visual hierarchy, we flogged it. So I won't flog it again, but visual hierarchy is one of those. That's why every class is very important. Like, just take note of everything we talk about. And then you need to make it catchy. This making it catchy could be probably in the kind of copy you're using. It has to be compelling enough. The images should be very clear images. You don't just download any picture with a small phone, and then when you put it on your system, it's looking like there's so much. I don't want to say rags, but there's so much. I can't get the right word now, right? So, but your image has to look catchy. The micro copy has to look catchy. Everything needs to look attractive so that it can get your users' attention. And also, you need to limit your call to action buttons. Like I said before, you're not giving your users so many things to do at the same time. Like, one thing at a time is enough. Just like you can see this image here. The first one is actually tick correct because we just have a micro copy, a little micro copy again. Okay, sorry, this is a micro copy, and then a little breadcrumb, and then the call to action button, and then an image to the far right. Very simple and basic. Right, and then maybe this could be what we do. we could just go through this mental journey together. So this could just be what we do or about us or why choose us. And then an image, a micro copy, a little breadcrumb, an image. But you can see this one to the far right here. It's just plenty write-ups. So if you're putting all these plenty write-ups, your design is now becoming too wordy, like wordy, right? So you're not putting so many users are not going to read. They're always scanning. So the kind of image they read, they see itself could even make them to probably want to see, okay, this is what we do, or maybe this is why you should choose us. So this could be an image, it could be an image, it could be an illustration. It depends on what you as a designer want to do at that point in time. And also we have the fourth one, keep your users first. Your users are they are the reasons why you're designing. So you're not designing for yourself. Putting your users first, which is what we always talk about, empathy, right? And also keep it very, very simple. Like keep it simple, stupid. I think that's the KISS word. Keep it simple. Like less is small. Less is small. You're not putting so many things. We're not saying you just put an empty website. Everything is just no, but less is small. So just like we can see these two images here, we have the first one, which is actually, let's look at the wrong one first. So we have download your free ebook today. First name, last name, email address, phone number, zip code. Why asking me for my phone number? So this is where UX strategy comes into. Why asking me for my phone number when you're telling me to download a free ebook? Do you want to chat me up on WhatsApp? No. Why are you asking me for my zip code? So keep it simple. You're not asking for information that is not necessary. You don't want to waste your users' time. Maybe you just want them to download a free ebook. And then after all this information, the worst is this submit. What is submit? Is this a design proposal? No. So your ability to know the right kind of micro copy to use, both on your CTA button or even on the landing page is very important, right? So if you're saying download your free ebook, the right micro copy should be download now. Like the action should precede the statement of action. What's the word? The statement of, I don't know, I'm mixing this thing now. But whatever action, if you're telling me download your free ebook now, the CTA button should have download now, not get started, right? So everything has to be in tandem. Why this other one is correct is just that you're asking me, I want to download the free ebook. Okay, first name is compulsory. I can see the asterisk, which shows that it's compulsory, right? First name, last name, email address, because that is where I am going to send the email to. I'm going to send the ebook to. And probably you may want to call your users by name. So when I receive emails, right, it's really more human when I'm like, hi Chi, this is the ebook you requested for, than hi or hello. So there are reasons why you can choose to ask for first name, last name, email address, and then download now. Very simple and straightforward. So that's just like some principles. All right, so let's just look at this image here of a very beautiful landing page. So we can see, understand, it's for split B. So understand, adapt, and then grow. Understand, adapt, and then grow. And then we have a breadcrumb here that says track and optimize your online business with Splitsby, your friendly analytics and conversion platform. So in just few sentences, they've told you the very basic thing is you understand. Once you understand the website, and then you adapt to maybe how the platform works. And then the next thing is that you're going to grow. So in just 3 words, they've told you the essence of this website. And they're telling you, okay, that you can track, you can optimize your online business. And then we are friendly and we help you to analyze your platform, and we help you to convert, give you conversions in just few clicks. And then a very clear, bold messaging, and it's a very compelling copy. Then we have a clear call to action button with actionable copy, right? Add to your website. So they are not telling you create an account. Even though add to your website, I may not know what the next flow is going to be, right? But they're just telling you at the instance that with this conversion platform, you can just add this link. So it's possible when you're adding to your website, maybe it's just a link, right? Or maybe it is a plugin, or maybe I don't know whatever thing is going to be. But I feel like once you tap on add to your website, there'll be another message or another action on what to do next. But the major thing here is that the call to action button is very clear. Like the information that's clear. They're not telling you create an account, because if you tell me create an account and then maybe I start putting in my details and all that, and I'm like, but you could just told me if I understand, I adapt and I grow, and it's not going to take my time. So create an account could lead me to putting your next of kin, plenty talk, and I could just leave because the flow is already too long. Today is not on sign up flow, but just follow me, right? So you can see there is another breadcrumb here, no credit card required. You're selling the value of these products at the same time. We don't need your credit card. Just add to your website. It's free, it's easy, basic, no stress. All right, so we have something here. Real product screenshot or custom quality image, which basically communicates the value of the product. So you can the landing page here is already, they're already selling the value of the product. They're already telling you that okay, we're already in existence and we've done XYZ, even though this data may not be real, right? But you can just see that okay, this is how your dashboard is going to look like at the end of the day. They are showing you real products, screenshots of these products. Like if you sign up with us, this is what you're going to see. This is how you can navigate through. You know, this all boils down to designing for trust, because if you're designing some kind of platforms that you need to earn the trust of your users, you need to put screenshot testimonials, plenty of we are sponsored by this, we are sponsored by Grace, we're sponsored by Google, and all that plenty talk. Okay, so and then we have to the far left here, we have gradient that helps the users to focus on the headline. So if you observe closely, you can see that below here we have some form of gray gradient that goes a little bit up, and then up here is white. So a user coming on this website for the first time will see the very first thing: understand, adapt, and go at your website. Very simple, clear, and straight to the point. So that's like a first example. I think I have another one here. We have rented today. So just looking at this platform now, I know what the platform is about, that it has to do with housing. It has to do with, anything. I'm seeing someone who, so you can either maybe make money in real estate or whatever the case may be, right? So the microcopy, rent it today. Resi pays landlords up to $100,000 to lease their apartment for 1 year. They have a window here, so that's their problem, Sha. Okay, but looking at the microcopies, so this platform would help landlords to Resi pays landlords. Sorry about that, please. Okay, so Resi pays sorry, Resi pays landlords up to $100,000 to lease their apartment for 1 year. So you can just see that in just few sentences, they told you how much landlords, you as a landlord, like you now as a house owner, you could earn just by leasing your apartment for 1 year. And then there's a very quick actionable statement here. Enter your property address, then a call to action button, get an instant offer. So they are not telling you create an account or sign up now or get a free trial, So they're already going straight to the point. When you enter your property address, right, you get an instant offer. Quickly, we could reach out to you maybe through email or as the case may be. And then just below it, you're seeing that, okay, Resi pays you 1 year of rent, all this plenty microcopy. They are still trying to sell the value of the product. So basically, that's just what landing pages do. I think watch out for. So do I have questions? Because I know that there's another class that's supposed to come up now. Okay. So to be continued. Do I have any questions from anyone? Questions and more questions. Questions and more questions. Yeah, I can see your feedback. I'm not the one that designed the website, so it's more like a romantic color to men. Okay, lucky blessing. Okay. Yeah, the color doesn't lead to housing. I love the fact that we are thinking deep. So it will be good because your ability to audit a design is part of what makes you a good designer, for you to know that, okay, this color doesn't really flow. Oh, it's on fire. Since we just talked about colors. Awesome. All right. Okay, so since I do have, okay, hands are raised. Kenny Osoba, you can ask a question.
Okay, thank you so much. I just have this question. I don't this time because I see there's beginner and all of that. So I'm just wondering, after this are we supposed to be able to do? Is it, get one or two?
Sorry, come again. I didn't really get your question. Can you come again, please?
Okay, I'm seeing beginner and all of that in UI UX and all these other. I'm wondering, after this beginner, what exactly are we supposed to be able to do concerning? I don't know if you got the question.
Okay, so your question is, you're seeing beginners. Okay, like this track is
and all of that. So
for
I'm
beginners, right?
Yes. How long are we supposed to be able to do something? I don't know.
Okay, I don't know. Akis, are you on this call? Maybe you may have the proper answer for her.
Okay, thank you. So Kenny, quick question. So are you just seeing the beginners, or you've been there? Is it you're sounding like it's new to you?
No. I'm asking that track, for example. What are we supposed to? Because I'm also seeing intermediate, so it's giving me a idea that we can't do anything. We're going to go to intermediate and all that. I don't know if you.
Okay, this shows you're kind of behind in some certain information. Okay, so let's do that. I'll answer that when you're rounding up. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, when you're rounding up. So let's just go ahead with other questions with regards to what was being taught. So I'll answer that at the end of class. Okay, Femi, please go ahead. So can you just keep your hand up? Just keep your hand up. Femi, you can go ahead.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, can you hear me? Yeah. Sorry, my question is not regard what was being taught today. My question is, like, I got added to stage 13. Are you hearing? Hello?
That has been fixed. Have you checked recently?
Okay.
Have you checked?
Yeah, I checked, but are we chilling stage 13?
When did you check? When was the last time?
Like, I slept and woke up now. I got myself. I saw stage 5, I saw stage 13. But what I want to know is, okay.
Yeah, thank you. Ethan, let's hear you.
Yeah, good evening. She said something. She said something about what was it again? Rags, widows, and the third one I forgot it. Please, can you go over that again? I think I'm confused between the definition of the three. Rags, widows, and what was the third one? But the three of them, sure.
Okay. All right. Rags, widows, and orphans. Rags, widows, orphans, rags, widows, orphans. Where are you? All right. So widows occurs when the last line of a paragraph is not able to fit at the bottom of a page. And I took us to Figma. Widows occur so let's say I'm working on a chunk of text, right? And then I decide to it could be a mistake. So these are like typography errors, right? Which I'm pointing out because it's very good for you to know a problem, then you know how to avoid it. So maybe I should just use a full text. Let me see if I could okay. So let's use this an image or what? Sorry, I'm trying to get what just happened. Figma. Okay. Figma is loading, so let's just wait for a bit. Okay, so let me get this proper text. Okay, so looking at this now, this is a very good typography. It doesn't look uneven. It's not like, let me do something else so that you can see the difference in the magic we're about to perform. Okay, so let's why is everything looking too good now? I want to break you now. Okay, so let me break this. There is magic. I'm breaking this so I could show you how a rag looks like. Even though Google is your best friend, it will give you more details. But let me just do this. Let's break this like this. So now, let me even give it, let's give it a widow and an orphan. Should we not? Should we? No, this is too, okay. Let's just give it a widow here. Okay, so now this is a rag, right? If you're looking at these two, excuse me, if you're looking at these two chunk of text, you can see that this looks proper and like it looks readable. Like you know that you're just reading and there is no breaking information. But if you're looking at this now, there is magic in our. And you know, we talked about reading patterns. So your users are not supposed to be reading from left to right, and then there's break in, like as I'm reading, there's a break in my reading speed. So there is magic in our then energy, our spaces, our people, and our. So it's very important to avoid errors such as this. This is a rag, it's uneven, it's improper. So widows occur at the end. So this illiteracy standing alone is a widow. And as you can look at this, it looks like all of this text is just a line. The whole weight is on top of this illiteracy, which is not proper. But you can see this other one. Everything looks balanced, like it looks balanced. Like it doesn't look uneven, right? So widows are like, it occurs at the end of a chunk of text. Then if, for example, we had there is standing alone, this is an orphan. It's standing alone. So it's not a, you're not right, it's not a lyric. Even lyrics, like, even lyrics. Even lyrics, like it's been written in a lot of sense. This is an orphan, this is a widow, and this is a rag. And then this is a proper chunk of text. I hope that has answered your question.
Yeah, but in some cases, aren't widows like unavoidable?
It depends. So I think I said that you know, if you probably want to, because I've seen some website where we have we could stand alone, then we are the best commercials, or we are the best blah 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 XYZ. We stand alone. So in that kind of situation, it's possible they are trying to draw attention to the fact that we are, it's a body of individuals, right? But at the same time, they don't, when you're designing, when designing such a, when in such a design situation, you don't make it look like it's standing alone, like it's far away from. It's just like if I'm saying there is, and then this there is far away. So you can see now that it looks like it's far away from magic in our energy. So at the end of the day, it depends on how you structure your typography. So it looks decent and good to go at the end of the day. So, but these are just like typo errors that could be avoided, especially when you're dealing with large chunk of text, right? It should not be hanging. It should not look raggy or jaga like someone said. So that's it. All right. So someone else's hand is up. I hope that's answered your question. Okay, it's just Kerning. Okay, other people, your questions have been answered, right? Okay, awesome. I think that brings us to the end of today's class. Do I have a little task here? Let me check. I think I have one. Okay, so your task for this weekend, we've talked about designing effective landing pages. So feel free to explore and share screenshots of 5 landing pages that are awesome to you. So you see the way I did this thing here, where I gave rationale behind why I felt this is a good landing page. Your ability to look at the design and feel that, okay, this is perfect. This is not literally perfect, but this is good, or this is fine. You know, it shows that you know your onions, or you're growing as a designer. So your little task is to share screenshots of 5 landing pages that are awesome to you, and then give rationale behind your choices. And that is the end of my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. All right. So Ikes, I'm done. I think we have 4 minutes to 7. So any further question, please reach out to all of us on Slack. Our DMs are open to be submitted when we'll reach out to you on that. I don't want to say what I'm not too sure of.